Maybe, baby, I have you. Maybe, baby, you'll be true. Maybe, baby, I have you for me. Welcome back, everybody, to Gunslingers right here on
the Gunslinger Syndicated Radio Network.
That's us. Yep. And as promised, the one and only Mr. Pete Chirico. Pete, how are you?
I'm alive and well.
Good to hear
alive
it.
Anyway.
I resemble that remark.
Sometimes you just can't be both.
A lot of that going on.
Well, since the last time we saw you, what's new?
Well, my new book is out. Prove It Safe, Gun Safety in the Movies. And our new CD is coming out. We all of a sudden we're doing music. It's called Tombstone's Last Stand. It's 13 ballads about all the people from Tombstone: Curly Bill, Texas Jack, Turkey Creek, Wyatt, Doc, Sherm McMasters, Johnny Ringo. We put 13 ballads together for that, and that should be out in a couple of weeks.
Very cool.
And then we're going to do a whole series on the West. We're doing the next one is on Buffalo Bill, and then we're going to do one on Deadwood. We'll do Dodge City. We'll do Virginia City. We'll do all Wildville, Hickok, and of course Jesse James, Billy the Kid, and we'll do ballad songs on all of them, telling you the story.
What a great idea!
Absolutely.
I always look at it that this kind of music. See, I like. There's all types of music, and what I've always understood is just, if it ain't good, it ain't music.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense.
We just went through July 4th. We had all of these wonderful big bands playing and string bands playing all of these patriotic songs, and that makes people feel good and brings out the patriotism in everybody. And then you have good old rock and roll where the music makes you want to get up and dance and move your body. And then we do ballads which tell a story, and those are the kind of music you want to listen to. Sit in front of a chair, in front of a fire, with a cat on your lap, a little snifter of brandy, a dog at your feet. You just fed the horses, and you want to take the dream area going back into the old West and see that. And of course, Mark, you're a big shooter, so you're a cowboy shooter. You know what it's like to dream about these things and to see them. And that's what we try to do is make it a picture of the West and paint that picture for you so you could do it. And we have it there. And of course, my new book just came out. I just got copies of it yesterday from the publisher, and it's called Prove It Safe, Gun Safety for the Movies.
Going to go out on a limb here. What moved you to write that?
Well, I've been, my company, Caravan West, we do guns and we do horses and costumes and props and set dressing. And back in January, I got a call from a publisher, and he said, "Listen, you've been in the business for a long time. You do armoring. You know your guns. I'd like to have a book done on gun safety in the movies with the tragedy that happened with Rust, with."
That guy.
Brandon getting killed in The Crow, all of that stuff. He said it's timely to have that book done. So it took me 2 or 3 months to do a lot of research on it and put it together. I got it to him the end of March, beginning of April. They went through editing and all of the stuff that publishers normally do, and then it went off to their printers. I ordered 100 copies so that I could go around to the studios with it under my arm, hawking it to them. You gotta buy this book, guys. You gotta have this book. You want to be safe, and that's basically why I wrote it. I've been in the business for so long, and so many people in the business aren't gunmen. No. You guys are all gunmen. You know how to handle a gun. Mark, I'm a member of SAS. I've been a life member for 40 years. We all know that, firing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of rounds over the years in front of all of these people, with all of these people participating, nobody ever gets killed. Because we as gunmen always know safety. Safety is secondary to us. But on a movie set, I'd say 70% of the people aren't gun people, never handled a gun, never saw a gun, never shot a gun. Maybe 80 or 90% of them don't. And they're very, and you can become very paranoid about it, knowing that you can be killed, wounded, hurt, injured. Your whole life can flash in front of you, so you want to be safe. So I wrote the book with that in mind, that everybody can read it. Prop people can read it. Armorers can read it. Producers, directors, writers. Everybody can get an idea behind how to be safe in a show with hundreds of people running around like little ants working. And you don't want to be upset about it. And then I go back in the history of it. Before The Crow in 1993, before Brandon Lee was shot, and I feel so sorry for the actor. He died about 10 years ago because it just broke him up. And again, he didn't follow the rules because he probably didn't know the rules, and the armorer didn't teach him the rules. Right. And the main rule is you do not ever aim a gun at anybody directly on a movie set.
That's rule number one of safety, period.
You move the gun over a foot or 2 feet to the left or to the right of the person so that it's not aimed directly at him. The camera does not pick that up. The camera cannot see that. But it looks like you're aiming at him, but you're not.
Layers of safety.
And
it occurs to me, we like watching movies too. Jeff and I will do something like we'll go to the World Championship. Has anybody ever calculated how many rounds are fired? Because it's in the hundreds of thousands of rounds. And as you said, they're all safely discharged and everybody walks away fine with a smile on their face. But it occurs to me that if you watch movies, and we all do, and we have actually done shows on what's the most atrocious firearm handling or the most ridiculous things that you've seen, and we see it all the time. So in addition to making people safe on the sets, if you encourage proper behavior, then the hundreds of millions, even billions of people that watch these movies can then see safe handling of firearms.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's basically what it is. When you do it every day, when you handle a gun every day, it becomes second nature to you. And you can tell it by an actor. You who are gun people, and Mark, I know who's always doing the cowboy shoots. You can instantly see when an actor doesn't know how to handle that gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that happened to me 50 years ago when I first entered the business. First movie I did, I had to handle a gun, and I wasn't a gun person. I did not grow up with guns in my house except for my Fanner 50 and my Mattel shooting shells and my air rifle.
Everybody in the room is smiling when you say that, by the way.
Fanner 50s, yeah.
Well, and I still have them. I have in my gunroom building. I have a whole pile of cap guns from the 50s, and that's what I grew up with. And then, of course, when I was in the service, and I'm a Vietnam vet, but I didn't slog through the rice paddies. I was in the Air Force. My tools were an ohm meter, a voltmeter, a screwdriver, and a pair of pliers. That's how I fought the war. So I was not, gun wise. And when the first movie I was doing, they gave me a gun, and I realized I didn't know what to do with it. And then after that, I started shooting. The girl that I was going out with at the time, I was in New York. They had a farm in Pennsylvania. So we would go out on the weekend to the farm in Pennsylvania, and all her cousins were shooting in the backyard, and I went out shooting with them. And I said, hey, this is fun. And then there was a world champion trap shooter. There was one of the family friends, and he took me under his wing and taught me trap shooting, and I did that. And then I started, I want to do Westerns. So I bought a couple of single-action Colts. I bought the Colt 22s, some Peacemakers, and a Winchester 94-22, so I could take them with me every weekend to Pennsylvania and just tramp through the woods and shoot and shoot and shoot. And then I thought I was good. And I'm sure you all know who Bob Munden is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bob was, I was doing, fast drawing, twirling, and learning everything. And Bob was doing a show in New Jersey. and he had an ad in the paper, and he said, "I'll offer $1,000 to anybody that can beat me." And he said, "Wow, I could use $1,000." So I went down to his show, and when I walked in, he kind of looked up. We had eye contact, and I watched his show, and I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, "My God, this guy is good." And then Bob came up to me after the show, and we were talking, and he said, "You were going to challenge me, weren't you?" And I said, "Well, I thought about it." And he said, "Yeah, but you saw my show and you backed out." I said, "Yeah." And we were talking, and I said, "Well, I'm an actor, and I'm in New York. I do plays, and I do soap operas and commercials." And he said, "Listen, I'm doing a show at Six Flags over Texas down in New Jersey, in Lakewood." And I'm sure you've all seen his show, he and Becky.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he asked me if I would put a stunt show together to open his act. So I ended up putting a stunt show together. I worked with Bob for a year, and we had such a great time. And he taught me fast draw. He built my fast draw gun. He had a gun belt made for me by the same company that makes his. And we worked together for a year, and he taught me so much. And that's what I started doing for 2 years. I literally sought out the best people and let them teach me how to shoot trap, how to shoot skeet, how to shoot the single actions, how to shoot rifles, how to throw knives, tomahawks, bow and arrows. And I did that literally every day for 2 years.
Whoa.
Until I became so proficient that I said, "Okay, now I can start going on." And I was in New York, and everybody laughed at me. They said, you can't do Western movies. Don't forget, this was in the 70s, and 70s Westerns were out.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to do them, but I wanted to do them. I was on a soap opera. Hang on a second. I was on a soap opera, and we had a green room at the time. And there was a TV in it. So after rehearsals, everybody would go up to the green room. Well, if I didn't, whoever got there first turned the TV station on. And everybody else would want to watch what the other soaps were doing. I had no interest in it. I wanted to, but I turned on Channel 5, which had reruns of Bonanza. So I got up there one day early. I turned on Bonanza, and I'm watching it. And it was Haas who was walking through the desert. And he's dying, and he's sweating, and he's in bad shape. Well, one of the other actors came walking in, and he saw that, and he said, "Oh my God, can you imagine working 3 months in the desert?" And I smiled and said, "Yeah, I'd love it."
Hey, Pete, we're coming up on a commercial break, so don't go anywhere. But before we go, I want to ask you a question about Wild Bill, and you can answer it when we come back from the break.
Which Wild Bill?
Wild Bill Hickok.
Okay,
here's the question. Aces and eights. Is that true or not? Well, don't answer now. We'll pick that up when we get back. You're listening to Gunslingers. Hang on. You're listening to Gunslingers right here on
the Gunslinger Syndicated Radio Network.
And we'll be right back.
Yes, sir.